G'day, Angel Mahar here. BPD breakups. Unique, complex, more painful, often described as more painful than any other kind of relationship breakup. What's really something that I think a lot of people are overlooking about the BPD relationship breakup, though? Like any relationship breakup, for all the talk that there is online in this area, etc., about people with BPD and their black and white thinking, their dichotomous thinking, people with codependency also have a lot of dichotomous thinking going on. So what's really important to think about there? Well, relationship breakups are actually healthiest, when they really are black and white. So a relationship breakup is basically a black and white endeavor. Sometimes in healthy relationships, or if you're not in a relationship with cluster B and there's a breakup, could be somewhat mutual, could be talked about, but even that also doesn't bring about closure. Like, people are searching so much for closure where there is absolutely no closure with cluster Bs. So there's that too. But the point I want to really make in this video is that for all the dichotomy that people with BPD have going on, but they're not all the same, that all people with BPD seem to be blamed for at the end of these relationships, the lack of dichotomy between people with BPD and people with codependency in a BPD relationship breakup is actually not healthy on either side of the equation. Because relationship breakups are considered to be more healthy, and it's more common, and I don't like the word normal, but more, quote, normal, unquote, when the breakup is black and white. Because when a relationship is ongoing, it's ongoing. It's happening. It's still a relationship. And when a relationship breakup occurs, I'm talking about other than with BPD relationship breakups, right? But in general, when a relationship breakup occurs, that is a black and white situation. So relationship was happening, then the breakup happens, then the relationship is over. Black and white. And more people, the healthier people are, the less they try to stay, to be friends, to try to be in touch, to find a middle ground where there isn't really one. When you're in a relationship, you're in a relationship, and when you break up, you break up. Go separate ways, go forward, on with your own life type of thing. So BPD relationship breakups are really super complicated in this area, very painful in this area also, because of the very nature of the fact that they're complex and complicated when people are really not always sure if it's over. Or if it's over and the relationship breakup, the BPD relationship breakup has happened one way or another, and people are like, with codependency, doubt themselves a lot. And are like, well, is it over? Isn't it over? You might not get clear signals. You might get mixed messages from somebody with BPD, especially untreated, etc. All these things are happening for people and to people in a BPD relationship breakup. All the various different iterations of that, situations that go with that. But yeah, two things in this video really start off to just say that relationships are healthiest when they are, if they're on, they're on, and if they're off, they're off, and there's no in between. That is dichotomous, and that's one place in life, and there are a few others where dichotomy is healthier. In other words, the black and the white of it all, that there's no in between when a relationship breaks up, more often than not. But so why is there a massive in between when it's a BPD relationship breakup with a person with BPD and codependency? I mean, there's a myriad of reasons, but there's this black and white thinking, the cognitive dissonance, the rumination, but there's that unhealthy bond in the middle that just takes away the empowerment of a person with codependency, often of the person with BPD, to actually just have this sort of breakup that is understood by both parties, because it's often not understood by either party, codependent or borderline, to be a finality. To be, it's over. We are ending this relationship right now. Or you got ghosted and discarded. They slammed the door in your face. That's an ending. Why are you looking to start that up again? Why are people recycling these relationship breakups? What happens to the breakup part in the BPD relationship breakup? Have you ever thought of it that way? Do you have experience with this? Do you know what I'm talking about? What do you think? Please leave a comment below. Because the other part of this is, so there's this lack of breakup in a breakup. What's that mean? Well, there's lots going on with that. Means lots of things. I'd like to know, what do you think that means? What has it meant in your experience? Was it the person with BPD saying, well, I really can't handle this anymore, not saying anything, going away, ghosting you, coming back, developing a pattern, and that's how your, quote, relationship, unquote, has gone for like a year or two? That every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month, they need like a month or two off, or 3 weeks gone, and you know what they're doing, and like, because that's not a relationship. That would be an on and off relationship. That would be a recycling of a relationship. So BPD relationship breakups, when the breakup really never gets done in a lot of cases, or that it requires a lot of, in therapy, healing, and recovery for people with codependency. After the BPD relationship, you're pretty sure it's a breakup. Some people know it's a breakup. Some people have no idea. Some people are back and forth in the false hope and the denial, etc. And the other thing about the BPD relationship breakup, besides that there's a dichotomy there that would be healthy to have, like, okay, it's over. Now I got to deal with it. Now maybe you need to get in therapy and work on healing and recovering from it and your codependency. But it's over. But people don't get there, right? It's not that simple. It's more complicated and complex. Very nature of the unhealthy bond, very nature of when codependency meets untreated borderline personality, and what's that mean, and various overlaps. But the other element in these relationships, in the BPD relationship breakup, is this hunt and search and need and want, and all over the internet talked about closure. You didn't give me any closure. I don't understand what happened. I didn't get closure. I need closure. I want closure. Closure, 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 closure. Okay, well, but you didn't get any reciprocity or respect, or you weren't seen or heard by them in the relationship, and you're expecting this closure from them now magically because they don't know how to take personal responsibility. Many people with BPD, and they don't know how to really communicate, and they do have complicated sort of like inhibited communication in many ways. And so all of a sudden you're expecting, but they can suspend all that you've experienced from them in a BPD relationship, in the BPD breakup, because you need closure. So what is closure? Please leave a comment below. What does closure mean to you in terms of a BPD relationship breakup? If you're somebody with codependency, what's that closure mean to you? What is it you want? What do you think would make you feel better? What would help you to know it was over? What would help you to understand it? What is it about that, if you want to share in a comment below, that you think you still don't understand, needs something else to need to know more about, or to make sense out of something? What is that no closure really about for you? Because, in healthier relationships even, people don't really get closure from the other person. Like, I've had a few healthy relationships. I had to break up with somebody once because they wanted to have children and I didn't, and they were younger than I was. It's quite a while ago now. And they were younger than I was. And so, I let the person go out of love. I explained it. We talked about it. But they weren't happy. That's not what they wanted. They were starting to try to want to change me into wanting children when I didn't want children. And so it was going to become a bigger issue than it even was at that point. So that breakup had communication with it. I really did break up with somebody that I loved very much because we had this base incompatibility. This can happen in healthy relationships. But what am I talking about that for? Well, to say this, that even though there was communication, and even though there was some mutuality in talking about it, she was quite upset, understandably, but I was in a lot of pain having to let her go. I loved her. The relationship was a great relationship, but then she wanted children and I didn't, and we had this base incompatibility. So in that relationship breakup, while there was reciprocity, mutuality, a conversation, some mutual understanding, though not necessarily mutual agreement, because I didn't like what I was having to choose. It hurt. And she was getting hurt. And it was like neither one of us really wanted to not be in the relationship, but this incompatibility was pretty big. So, but my point is, even with that, I don't believe either one of us, though we tried hard together, people often in healthy relationship breakups don't attain closure. You don't get closure from the other person. This is, I think, a big codependent need, or maybe where a lot of people with codependency, because of your childhood woundedness and how you develop codependency in the first place, which is highly individual in a lot of people's cases, you're expecting that you would get closure from them, that you will somehow understand what just happened. Well, even in my reference to the healthy relationship I was in some years ago where I broke up with this person and why, closure didn't come for her from me, even though we talked. Closure didn't come for me from her. So you see, closure after a relationship breakup, when it's healthier, and it is more black and white, the dichotomy of a breakup, the ending of a relationship, is a major change and shift, and it's healthy that it's dichotomous. So, and that dichotomy may not last forever. Like with that ex of mine, she went on, she was mad at me for several years, 5 years. She went on to meet the person she was more compatible with. They've had children. They have 3 children now. They've been together for several years, I think almost 10 now. And we're great friends and we're like family with each other. But that didn't happen, and that often won't happen. But it happens a little bit more maybe in the lesbian community than it does in heterosexual or other, I don't know. But it happened after a few years. So, but I think there's a difference for heterosexuals versus maybe gay men or lesbian women. I'm not sure, but I think there is. And I think in heterosexuality especially, even in healthier relationships, it's much more of a relationship breakup that is dichotomous, black and white. Relationship is no longer a relationship. People go their separate ways. Whether they're still co-parenting or not, they just go their separate ways. And so in the BPD relationship breakup, I think there's codependent denial and a lot of issues that people with codependency need to look at, that you're expecting, not only because of the way the relationship is, the unhealthy bond, etc., but that you're expecting that somehow, or you believe that you need closure from them, or you can't possibly work this out or move on with your life, when in fact, even in a healthier relationship breakup, closure isn't gotten from the other person. Closure is still an inside job at the end of any relationship breakup. So I'll be interested to know what you think about that. If you'd share your comments, share your experience, share how you're feeling, share what it is that's driving you to think that you can get closure from, in a BPD relationship breakup from the person with BPD, or why you still feel. What is it that you think, wherever you're at right now, that you think you need that closure from them? Because it's not coming. But even more to the point, in healthy relationship breakups, people do not really get closure from each other. Now, can there be conversations and maybe something? Yes, but the ultimate moving forward, getting closure, taking care of yourself is still an inside job in healthy relationships, as people with codependency need to get into therapy to be able to heal from the relationship with the BPD relationship breakup and deal with your codependency, family of origin, and your childhood woundedness. And I'm out here to work with you if you'd like to take that journey to understanding why the closure, you will find closure in that therapeutic process of healing and recovery, and that the closure, it's really doesn't make a lot of sense emotionally or otherwise that people think they're going to get closure from the person with BPD. And the closure needs to be closure that you find within yourself. And that's what I think codependents are struggling with, because you have lost a lot of yourself and you don't know yourself as well as you would if you didn't have codependency. So closure is an inside job, not to be looked toward the other person for. And then, of course, there's so many other complicating realities to what creates BPD relationship breakups and what you've experienced in the relationship, which is really not love and not healthy, etc. So what do you think about the fact that healthy relationship breakups are actually more dichotomous, and that that's common and that that's desirable, and that's not what happens in a BPD relationship breakup? More complex, more complicated because of codependency, as well as the person with BPD. And then what do you think about the fact that you need to find your own closure, which a lot of people after the BPD relationship breakup with codependency need to do in therapy? So I'm out here to work with you. If I resonate with you, you can go to ajmahari.ca. But I really hope people will comment, share their experiences, share your thoughts, because this idea of codependence chasing after the borderline for closure, and all the time you waste, and how much for so many people that means you really don't want the relationship to be over, and you're fighting reality. And what are you doing? And it's coming from your codependency, and it's coming from woundedness, and it's coming from your childhood family of origin issues. That's why therapy is so important for people with codependency, and to go no contact, and to understand when a BPD relationship breakup takes place, that the closure you're going to have to find for yourself. It's an inside job anyways in therapy. And when there's been a breakup, when you've been treated poorly, disrespected, etc., why do you think that there's anything more that you need to know from that person? Why do you think that they hold your closure? Because they really don't. So be interested to hear your feedback, your comments, your ideas about that.